everyone. In this video, we will be highlighting the key features from the SuccessFactors Recruiting and Onboarding release from 2021 H2. My name is Nabila Natarajan. I'm a manager with Rizing's Managed Services practice, and I'm here today with my colleague Fabian.
Hi, Nabila. My name is Fabian, and I am a principal consultant with Rizing Professional Services. I'm happy to be here. So Nabila, this return release included a lot of improvements that will benefit administrators. What would you say are the highest impact items?
Absolutely right. A lot of stuff in this release was aimed at admins. I'd say the highest impact item is probably the new SSL certificate renewal process for Career Site Builder. The Career Site Builder sites have a SSL certificate that must be renewed on a regular basis, and previously customers had to go to SAP. SAP had a step to generate a CSR, they had to install the final certificate, and so it took some back and forth and sometimes ended up taking more time than customers would like. And so with this new process that's been released, it's managed completely within Career Site Builder and no longer requires going to SAP.
That's great. This is one of the most common requests we get usually from clients, that they find out very last minute that their certificate is going to expire. So they typically contact us, what do I have to do? So this is great that they can do that on their own.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another small piece in this release related to that is an improvement to the SSL email reminder. In the last release, an upgrade came out where an optional email could be sent to Career Site Builder admins 90 days in advance of that certificate expiring to give them a heads up. And now with this release, that email is now opt-out. So all of your Career Site Builder admins will start getting that email 90 days ahead of when the SSL expires. So in addition to the SSL process, I'd say some other high impact items would be related to the new homepage experience. There are some new cards available specifically for recruiting. There is a job requisition approval card as well as a job offer approval card. So instead of it just being a tile to click on to get to your approvals, you can now see a card with some key details such as the manager's name, the recruiter's name, how long the approval's been pending for, the job title, rec ID. So it's just helpful for those who need to approve recs and offers to have those details available on the homepage. And in addition to that, there's also a new card available for interviewers. So if you use the Interview Central part of recruiting, it's a reminder that you have some interview feedback that's pending. And then finally, I'd say one more high impact item would be there are some changes that have been made for Mexico, Norway, and Swaziland. The changes are to the ISO code and/or label. Those codes drive a lot of things behind the scenes in SuccessFactors recruiting. And so we're highly recommending, if there are any companies out there that do have operations, again, in Mexico, Norway, or Swaziland, to make sure to check your configuration and that you are pointed to the latest versions of those ISO codes.
So Nabila, tell me, what are some of the nice to have recruiting features in this release?
So I'd say some of the nice to have features, the first one that comes to mind is the new Brilliant Hire option in Career Site Builder. So it's now possible to integrate with Brilliant Hire. It's a product by SAP that aims to provide recommended job search options for candidates. So candidates can go to the career site, they can be prompted to provide what are some skills that they're interested in, or what's the location that they're interested in finding a job for, and then the tool can provide recommended jobs for them to apply to. It also tracks some nice analytics behind the scenes to help recruiting organizations understand what are the skills that candidates are most interested in.
That sounds really, really nice. Does this require a separate license?
It does. Brilliant Hire is a separate product. It is by SAP, but it does require a separate license. So we're recommending for anyone that's interested in it to reach out to your SAP point of contact and explore what it would take to get that license. And again, now you can integrate it with Career Site Builder. Let's see, some other nice to have items in this release for recruiting. One is an accessibility improvement. So for those that use Job Profile Builder, there is now a new heading level option that's available within the Job Profile template. It's not required configuration. So if you have Job Profile Builder, this will actually work out of the box. All of your heading levels are automatically set to the H2 level. But optionally, you can configure your headings to be anywhere from H2 to H6. So that's optional configuration you can do. And again, it is an accessibility improvement. It's aimed at those who use accessibility tools such as a screen reader to view the career site. So it won't have any impact on any users that are using your regular browser version or on a mobile device, but it's just for those that are using screen readers. So it's a nice accessibility improvement. There's also been a change to the one-time password feature. This came out in a previous release, and it was a big security improvement where it added multi-factor authorization to the career site for external candidates. So rather than just creating an account, it would require for the external candidate to go check their email for a 6-digit code, which they would then enter into the career site in order to finalize the account creation. Previously, that email used to address the candidate's name. So it included the candidate's name in the email. It said, hello, candidate name, and it would provide that code. And now SAP has removed that name. That is considered personally identifiable. And so just to keep everything clean and more secure, that name has been now removed from the email. Let's see, and then finally, last feature I'll cover in the nice to have section. There is a change to the navigation to get to the campaign URL builder for recruiting for a specific rec. So previously, if you wanted to be able to create a campaign tagged link for a particular job requisition, there were several navigational steps you had to follow to get to that. You had to go into the source tracker and build that URL. And now there is some improved navigation. So now right from the job requisition dashboard, you can hover over the job title for any rec, and you'll see a link to the campaign URL builder. If you click on that, it'll take you directly into the source tracker. It'll have the pre-populated URLs for that requisition, and you can add any additional custom campaign tag you might want onto that URL.
I remember having a hard time finding that, so it's nice to have it handy now.
Absolutely.
I understand there are also several legacy features that are soon to be deprecated for recruiting module. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Some of these features we've been hearing about for quite some time now that they've been on the path to deprecation. One of those is the Data Privacy Consent Statement 1.0. That older version of the Data Privacy Consent Statement is being deprecated. And for most of the customers we work with, they're already migrated over to the newer 2.0 statement. But for anyone that is not yet on it, we highly recommend moving on to that as soon as possible.
And does this require working with a partner?
It does. So if you're currently using that 1.0 version, you would either need to reach out to a partner or to SAP to update the switch in provisioning. But once the backend switch is done, the actual consent statement configuration is done in Admin Center. Now, there is another data privacy consent deprecation update, and that has to do with the data privacy consent statement tab within Career Site Builder. So until now, there has been that configuration setting available in Career Site Builder, but it wasn't really relevant to most customers who are using SuccessFactors. And that's because if you have both recruiting management and recruiting marketing, then your data privacy consent configuration is happening in Admin Center, really more on the recruiting side. Whereas there are a few customers who are using recruiting marketing in a standalone way, meaning they don't have recruiting management, but they're just using the career site portion of it. And so for them, it was necessary to have that configuration. So SAP is basically just doing some cleanup here for any customers that have recruiting management and have their data privacy statement configuration done in Admin Center. They're just no longer going to see that configuration option in Career Site Builder. So just eases up a little bit of that confusion. Another deprecation item is the requisition reports. These have been considered legacy for quite some time now, but we do have some customers that are very used to them and have really enjoyed having them. The requisition reports are available right from within the recruiting module. There's a little link that can be permissioned that takes you into a reporting page that gives you just some quick reporting on your job requisition information. The benefit of this was the ease of access and that it was right there within the module. However, it was very limited in terms of what it could do. You couldn't apply security to it. You couldn't calculate columns or add custom filters. There was just a lot of limitations to that tool. And so just to consolidate all reporting in a single place, SAP is deprecating the requisition reports and is going to start really just using Report Center, right, for your reporting needs. We highly recommend for any customers that are still using those legacy requisition reports to encourage your teams to stop using that and to instead use Report Center. And then finally, one more deprecation item I'll call out is the deprecation of Marketing Central. So for any customers who are using Marketing Central to post to third-party job boards, options would be eQuest, Soleek, or Broadbean. Those are all being deprecated. So we, again, encourage clients to make sure that you stop using those tools to post jobs to third-party boards.
So with Marketing Central going away, do clients still have a way to post jobs with SuccessFactors?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are multiple options to be able to post to third-party job boards. There are the job feed XMLs, which can be set up, and those are a direct way to get jobs posted to different boards. There's also recruiting posting, which is built into SuccessFactors. It doesn't require a separate license. And the nice thing about recruiting posting is that last year, SAP announced that recruiting posting credits were no longer required. So there's no longer a need to purchase credits just to use that tool. You can pick and post to the job boards you want to. There's hundreds of free job boards out there in recruiting posting. And there's also paid boards. So if you have a contract with LinkedIn or other paid job boards, you can use that through recruiting posting. With this release, there's also some new job boards, just like with every release. Direct employers is a big one that I hear about a lot in the United States. Customers have been looking for a way to use direct employers with recruiting posting, and that is now available with this release. All right, on to onboarding. So Fabian, with this release, there was a lot of stuff that came out with the latest version of onboarding, formerly known as Onboarding 2.0, now just known as onboarding. So tell us about some of the highest impact features for onboarding.
Sure. Yeah. So with onboarding, formerly known as Onboarding 2.0, there's definitely quite a lot of features. So I'll try to go through the most important ones or the most with the highest impact. The first one that caught my eye was about crossboarding. So in the past, there was a limitation with crossboarding because future managers wouldn't get access to your to onboarding dashboard before your start date. Now with this enhancement, now future managers can access the dashboard and execute all the normal activities that you expect them to do, such as scheduled meetings, recommended people, recommended links, etc. So all that is accessible before start date. So that relationship of future managers with crossboarding is established before it wasn't there until start date. But with that now, this gap is covered. So it's really nice to have that feature now enhanced.
I can imagine that's going to definitely have a high impact on companies that are using this latest version of onboarding. Previously, I'm sure there were delays, happening if you couldn't get your tasks done ahead of time, and it all had to be crunched in and done once somebody starts. So that's excellent to have some more time to prepare for a new hire.
Yep. The second feature that I like to highlight is about the latest homepage. So some of you may know a new version of the homepage was released some time ago, but with onboarding, some of the features in onboarding were not supported. But now with this new version, it is most of the features are actually supported. So for the new hire, when they log into the new or the latest homepage, they can execute all the normal onboarding tasks that you would expect them to, such as, filling out their personal data, additional data collection, its signature, compliance, everything. So basically, there's no longer that limitation with the latest homepage in which some of the onboarding activities couldn't be completed.
That's excellent. So Fabian, for customers that upgrade to that new homepage, what would happen to their older onboarding tiles?
Oh, that's a good question, because onboarding 2.0 or onboarding now relies a lot in custom homepage tiles in order to show, documents or, some of the tiles that are shown during before start date. So when you turn on the latest homepage with the Upgrade Center, the migration of the old tiles would happen automatically. So it wouldn't be a problem with it.
Excellent. So what are some of the more nice to have features in this onboarding release?
Yep, some of the nice to have features are, number one, onboarding dashboard filters. So it is, especially for clients, the companies that have a high volume of hires, the onboarding dashboard can get very busy very fast. So having these filters in order to be able to search for new hires based on additional criteria was very important. So in this release, we have a way to search by, of course, by name, but also by start date, hire manager, new hire type, and other process tasks. So before it was only possible by name. So this is a very, very nice feature to have now. Another nice to have would be about the connection with the learning module. So in this new release, it's now going to be possible to assign learning courses to new hires. New hires are considered onboarding external users, and in the past, it wasn't possible to assign them learning courses, but now it's going to be possible. And they're going to be able to log in before their start date and navigate to the learning module and being able to take some of the courses.
That is such a valuable change. We've had clients that have been asking us about this for a long time now.
Yeah.
And there's so many use cases for when you might have certain populations that just need to be able to have training available to them before their actual start date.
Exactly.
So that's really great.
Yep. Another one that I like to highlight is about restarting onboarding. So this is maybe a small enhancement, but it can be very handy. It is possible to restart onboarding, of course, that's a known feature. But in the past, all the data that was collected up until the point that you restart was wiped out and replaced with the data that came from recruiting. Now there are configuration options to avoid that, so that even if you start onboarding, even after the person has completed the paperwork, you have a configuration option so that that data is retained, so the data doesn't have to be keying away again all the way from the beginning. So that can be very handy for the restart process.
Absolutely. All right, so we've been seeing the trend for quite a few releases now that the focus of onboarding improvements have really been on the latest version of onboarding. And the 1.0 version of onboarding has been kept up to date with compliance features, but not really too much else. So do we have any features in this release that do impact our customers that are using the onboarding 1.0 version?
Yeah, so as you said, we normally don't have a lot for 1.0. So this is not the exception. We only have a small enhancement, which is the proxy management, which means simply that when you are assigning a proxy to another person, now you can see onboarding as a checkbox option. That means that if you are assigning a proxy, you can leave it off, so that person, when they're proxying as you or as another person, they don't have access to onboarding, or they have access to onboarding. So it's just a little bit of added security, so that when you apply proxies, you don't necessarily have the ability to see all the onboarding data if you don't want them to.
Excellent. Very helpful to know. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. We hope this was helpful. Goodbye.
Bye.